This is NASCAR Coast to Coast. 60 minutes of NASCAR local and regional racing talk, interviews, and opinions. Here's Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long.
One K&N Pro Series West rookie claims the weekend win and the series points lead while it was a veteran on the Southern Modified Tour in the Victory Lane Spotlight. And we talked to the winner of one of the most prestigious late model races at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Welcome to NASCAR Coast to Coast for Tuesday, September 7th. Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long in the house for the next hour as we talk NASCAR regional and local racing. I know a busy weekend of short tracking for you, buddy.
How did you figure out in the house?
Did you like that?
It's always interesting, and you and I have both been a part of this, when you have a weekend off and you go to a local short track and you listen to their PA guy.
Yeah.
And some are good.
Yeah.
Others, so
a little rough around the edges.
Yeah. Got to get back to my dirt roots over the weekend and enjoy a little dirt track action because I love dirt in my beer, number one, although I didn't have a beer. But when they were promoting the top dogs that were at the racetrack, it was, Kyle Rickey's in the house, Buddy Long in the house,
Well, when you told me that
everybody
earlier,
was
I
in the
thought
house.
that would be a great way to open up the show. We are in the house
We're in the
for the next hour.
But and hopefully it's going to be a good hour. A lot of good things that are going on as we wind down to another year of NASCAR Coast to Coast. And again, for about the third or fourth week, we're talking about some great point battles on series and Whelen All-American short tracks.
And the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series national standings. The official points haven't been released yet, but we're getting some unofficial numbers from the Twitter machine. And Thomas Tillotson Jr., I don't think he was able to run this weekend.
No.
Both of his tracks were off in Oklahoma with either a special show or they were just totally
It just
dark.
wasn't his class that was running.
Right.
That pretty much was it.
Right. The A-mods are off at both of those racetracks, so he maintains the top spot. Lee Pulliam was in action over the weekend and gained a little bit of ground, just 7 points between those two now with a couple of weekends of racing to go. Taylor Holdaway up there at Sunset Speedway in Canada is 8 points back. Keith Rocco is 16 points back. Finally made it back to Victory Lane. First win since July 4th weekend at the New London Waterford Speed Bowl. And Jimmy Zacharias picked up win number 10 and a track championship over the weekend. 24 points back and set in Victory Lane at Chemung, I believe.
Yes,
right? Chemung.
yes.
That he was going to maybe venture down south or up north, try to find some other racetracks to maybe get some more points because he is still very much a part of the national battle.
And really, he's done. The
Right.
two tracks he ran, Holland and Chemung, they're done for the year. I know Chemung does have a big race for the Race of Champions coming up, but that has nothing to do with his quest for the NASCAR title, and that's what I'm thinking. God, he's pretty much done unless he can find somewhere else to go. Spencer's also done.
Yep.
Do you find, I don't know where he's at, whether he could get to some of these other tracks. And then, too, I'm assuming –
could he go to a Riverhead?
Well, and that's what I'm thinking. That's a tour-type car that he's been
that's
running,
true.
I guess, at Chemung in Holland. I wasn't thinking it's SK. It's just they say Sunoco mods, so I'm just assuming it's tour-type mods.
And Riverhead's tour type.
Yeah, exactly. But they've been still struggling with that car count to a degree. I mean, getting to that magical number that you want for maximum points.
18, I believe, is the magic number. Riverhead had a decent car count this past weekend, although I don't think they were at that number.
I saw the results, and I always look at car count, and I just buzzed through it. I was busy doing something else. I was watching Tom Rogers Jr. continue to increase his lead over there. Young Kyle Soper, another driver we haven't talked about. I don't know if Kyle has gotten into Victory Lane this year or not. I don't think he has, but he has quietly had a very good season right there in second spot behind Tom.
45 points out of the lead at Riverhead Raceway. They had 17 cars at the track on Saturday night. 2 weeks of racing remain. They'll race again this Saturday night as the penultimate night.
So one car was missing. It wasn't in the house.
One car was not in the house. However, a full field at Hickory Motor Speedway, the annual running of the Bobby Isaac Memorial. We'll talk to the race winner here coming up in a few minutes, Jake Crum. A stellar turnout there.
Yeah, it was. It brought you back to last year when you had a strong field of cars, not only in the Paramount Kia Challenge, but also the weekly series, which has kind of fallen down. They've got a very tight points battle going on between Landon Huffman and Matt Piercy, but good to see a good, solid field of cars, especially for that race. That is one of the legendary races that Hickory Motor Speedway has on their schedule.
Yeah, Tyler Ankrum was second, Josh Berry third, Travis Swaim fourth, Charlie Watson rounded out the top five, a field of 20 strong. They're one of their biggest races, if not their biggest race of the year, the Bobby I can't say it for whatever reason, the Bobby Isaac Memorial this past weekend. We'll talk to Jake here in a little bit on NASCAR Coast to Coast. The NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour, they were in action. George Brunnhoelzl III took down the race win. He'll join us here coming up in a little bit. Just his second win of the season and the tightest championship battle I think we have going right now.
Oh, my gosh, it's incredible. And, when you look at Georgie, he got off to such a bad start this year. You wondered whether he was going to be able to rebound. And lo and behold, there he is. I mean, Jason Myers leads Andy Seiss and Burt Myers by a point. Ebersol 5 back, and Georgie's just 9 tallies back and 3 races left to go. It's anybody's race.
5 drivers within 9 points. That is absolutely incredible. With 3 races to run, they'll run at the South Boston Speedway in 2 weeks on the 19th of September, at the Hickory Motor Speedway on October 3rd, and then they'll wrap up the season as part of pole night for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. They'll run the quarter mile in the infield on October 8th to crown their 2015 champion. The race this past weekend that George Brunnhoelzl won will be on NBCSN this Friday at 2:30 in the afternoon over at the Langley Speedway.
Hooky time. That's what you got to say, hooky time. You just call in sick early in the day on Thursday or right after lunch, something didn't agree with you, and you go home and you watch the race.
With all of the options of DVR these days.
Yeah, I know. It's still nice to play hooky, though.
It is. Oh, absolutely.
You got to maintain some traditions, even in the age of electronics and technology. You still got to stick to the basics. You got to come up with a good lie to go home and watch the race. You can't DVR.
And we were talking in Daytona this year. One of the traditions for me was the Gatorade 125s or the Budweiser Duels as they are now, and we were both working, and we're like, well, I guess we can't call in this year.
No. Now we're working the events all the time, so that excuse is out the window, and hopefully going to be back there in February of 2016 to see just the amenities that have been provided as the Daytona Rising project should be done.
And I think we got Rose by then.
Yeah, we got an update, I think, last week where they were working on the brand-new tower, putting on the front facade and getting a lot of things ready. There's still a lot of work to be done down there, but that should look magnificent in February.
Can't wait to see what the Buddy Long PA Tower looks like here.
It might be the Buddy Long Memorial PA Tower.
Let's hope not. Noah Gragson also picked up the race win in what has been a magnificent championship battle all weekend or all year in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. Held off Brandon McReynolds, Buddy Shepard, Chris Eggleston, and Johnny White. 1, 2, 3 rookies among the top 5, and then you got Eggleston, who's a sophomore, in the series over at the Meridian Speedway this past weekend, and the points just as tight. Not quite as tight as the modified in the South, but pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, Noah came in 6 tallies down into the event. Now he's back up on top just by a couple over Chris. Ryan Partridge finished 11th in the event. He was tied with Eggleston coming in for the series championship. The 11th place run puts him 8 points back in the number 2 spot. But, yeah, great battle coming right down to the wire again as they go to All-American Speedway. But now they have the gap in their schedule. When you were talking about that last week, it seemed like every couple of weeks or every 3 weeks, maybe not even that much, they were running pretty regularly. And now it just comes to a grinding halt where they have to wait till almost another month, over a month, before they go to All-American in almost the same amount of period of time until the finale at Phoenix.
All-American Speedway in 3 or 4 weeks' time, then another month by the time we get to the Phoenix International Raceway, part of that big quadruple header weekend of racing over at the Phoenix Mile to crown their 2015 champion. Do you include Ryan Partridge in that? Or not, I mean, Grayson Raz. He's in 4th, 16 points out.
Yes, I'd be stupid if I didn't. I mean, in all reality, the way these rookies have, it's just been incredible to see the balance of power that they've had with the young class. And Grayson Raz is right up in the mix. I think it's very possible.
Partridge is 3rd, 8 points back. And then you have the veteran, David Mayhew, 36 points out. That might be too much with too many drivers in front of him to that would need to have bad luck for him to have a shot at the title.
I mean, you're waiting for the trip by some of these rookies, and they're not stumbling. They're not stumbling at all. They may have an occasional bad run where, say, maybe be the back end of the top 10 or like 11th where Partridge was, but that's it. They get right back up on the wheel, and next week or the next event, we're probably going to have a shuffle on the points lead again.
And a lot of NASCAR K&N East regulars going to be at that season finale in Phoenix. In fact, a lot of the NASCAR, some of the K&N West drivers going to be at the Richmond International Raceway this Thursday night. We'll talk to Noah Gragson about that here coming up in a little bit as he will join us in the second half hour here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. But coming up here in a little bit, we're going to talk to the big winner over at the Hickory Motor Speedway here in a little bit. Jake Crum won the Bobby Isaac Memorial Race over the weekend as Hickory Motor Speedway beginning to wrap up their season. 2 weeks, I believe, left?
They
2 weeks of
have,
racing
yeah,
left?
they have 2 points races left. I think there's still at least one Paramount Kia Big Ten Challenge race left. But, yeah, as far as the weekly show, I think there's 2 left. And like I said, Landon Huffman and Matt Piercy are tight. And, hate to say it, unfortunately, when I went about a month or so ago, 7 or 8 cars were there, and that was a shame. But what was there was so very good. Yeah. They're just so evenly matched with each other. There you go. See, now we're even. You couldn't get Bobby Isaac out. I couldn't get with each other out.
Yeah, it's a tight points race in their late model division. 2 races to go, including this Saturday night. Should be a good time over at the Hickory Motor Speedway. We hope to talk to Jake Crum when we come back on this edition of NASCAR Coast to Coast.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
The following is a message from ToyotaRacing.com. Toyota Racing is all about speed and precision, which is why, right now, my voice is being digitally slowed down. My regular voice has mind-blowing speed and precision. For example, here's how this ad would sound unaffected. Visit ToyotaRacing.com for exclusive NASCAR content and videos, information on our NHRA off-road and other teams, see how fast I normally am, details and stats about all your favorite drivers like Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, and Matt Kenseth, complete race results. Actually, this is still kind of slow for me, guys, so listen to this. You can also find Toyota Racing t-shirts, hoodies, and keychains, Twitter updates, connect with other Toyota Racing fans, and just about anything else Toyota Racing related. Tongue cramp. So, Toyota Racing fans, go check out ToyotaRacing.com. Man, does anyone have an ice pack? NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
This is NASCAR Whelen All-American Series driver Kimmy Rivet, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Kimmy, a regular up at the Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire. Their season winding down as well. Just 2 nights of racing remain. Bill Kimball won the Sportsman Modifieds this past week, the division that Kimmy competes in. Joel Monahan won in Superstocks. Kimball leads the modified points by 16 over Scott McMichael. 2 races to go at the Monadnock Speedway up in New Hampshire. And speaking of modified, so NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour off this past week. Their next race at New Hampshire in a few weeks, but many of those drivers in action, as they always are, at tracks across the Northeast.
Yeah, where were they? I'm kidding.
Stafford, Waterford, Riverhead.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the Whelen All-American Series points, and the one thing that we saw that is a common theme is with all the heavyweights that are up front, everybody's still winning. You mentioned Jimmy Zacharias winning at Chemung. Lee took 1 of 2 at South Boston Speedway over the weekend, doing what he can to keep it up there. Ryan Preece didn't score a win, but had a couple of top threes at Riverhead. Keith Rocco winning at Waterford, having a 3rd-place run, I believe, at Stafford Motor Speedway over the weekend. So everybody's doing, I think, the absolute best that they possibly can in the absence of Thomas Tillotson not having races over the weekend. But I said it before, and I don't mean to sound redundant. I said it last week. It's going to be so cool if a dirt track guy can win it.
Nobody saw him coming
until,
what, 4 weeks ago?
No,
maybe,
it was
the
end of July.
Okay.
It was like the final weekend in July. I was coming back from VIR from a karting event. You called me, and we were talking about who we wanted on as guests that day, and we mutually agreed. Well, we try to get the top 10 drivers for occasionally in the Whelen All-American standings. By the end of the year, we pretty much have gotten all top 10. And, we said, well, what about Thomas Tillotson Jr.? Not thinking at that time that he was just going to vault right up to the front, and he did. And now it makes our choices look pretty good.
It does.
I'm pretty happy about that.
and at the pace he's going, we'll be talking to him again here as a champion in the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series Division I National Standings. Again, 7 points over Lee Pulliam, 2 weekends of racing to go. The cutoff for points events is September 20th.
Okay, so he's got, the way it looks on both of those tracks, which is Salina High Banks and Flint Creek Speedway, he's got 2 races left at both of those racetracks, which should be both points races. For all 4. So he's got 4 solid races left to go. You look at Lee Pulliam, I think he's got twins at Motor Mile. He's got twins at South Boston. But then he ventures out to different racetracks trying to pick up whatever he can. And again, you got to hope that the car count's going to be good.
And Rocco will have twins this weekend at Waterford.
Waterford's still got plenty of racing left
on Saturday, and then their final event final points race for the Whelen All-American Series standings in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. And Taylor Holdaway, I mean, we're not talking about him, but I mean, again, what a great job for a kid that only runs at one track to do so well. So obviously the car count's very good. That driver does an exceptionally good job. And while we're talking about all these other drivers, we may be crowning a champion that's outside our borders. I mean, that's a very good possibility.
So it's the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series International Series standings. All right, let's talk about the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour. They were in action. Their season not really winding down yet. They still have 3 races to run, the most of any of the regional series. The big winner this past weekend at the Langley Speedway up in Virginia was George Brunnhoelzl III, and he joins us now on the guest line. George, congratulations on the win. Welcome back to the show. Your second win of the season. Kind of bring us through your race and your 150 laps on Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Great to be back on the show. Always a good sign when I get to come and talk to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad you're here. Able to hold off Kyle Ebersol and Andy Seiss, who's been running for this title, along with Burt Myers and Jason Myers. A packed top 5 there full of all the regulars that we usually and anticipate seeing up there. How was the race from your view?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it was a perfect race. The guys did great. They worked their butts off in practice. We had some unfortunate luck in practice and actually cut 3 tires, had 3 flats in practice, so it hindered our practice time a little bit, but we did, the guys did great. We got the car rolling really well, and we were able to sit on the pole, which that just gives you a big sigh of relief because it's definitely easier to start from the pole, and that just set the pace for the rest of the race. I mean, the car was just on rails. We really didn't, I never even pushed the car. We ran about 75% the whole race and just ran as hard as we needed to stay out front, and ended up leading, I believe, all but 8 or 9 laps.
So does that take away from your focus a little bit when the car is just running that good that you just, in the back of your mind, wonder, okay, when is something going to happen? This is too good to be true that you got something that's running that well.
Yeah, unfortunately it does, and after the season, the start of the season we've had, it definitely seems like that because we've had really fast cars and just had, like you said, something always seems to happen. But this race, nothing could hold us down, and we were able to put it on cruise control and find victory lane.
Heard in an interview you did with NASCAR's Tim Southers post-race, and you talked a lot about your pit crew. Live pit stops this year on the NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour something that started middle of last season. How important is it? Get on pit road first, get off pit road first with as tight as this Southern Modified Tour field is? It's
huge. I mean, my guys are great. They're fast, they're consistent, they're reliable, no loose lug nuts. I mean, it's a big part of the game now, and since NASCAR changed it, I believe it did make it a little more action-packed for the fans, better show, but it did make us put more emphasis on pit stops, and like you said, the top 5 guys in the series are very close, and track position does become very key. So being able to come on pit road this week, we were coming on first, and we were able to leave first, but I mean, there's multiple times where I've come on second or third and left first because my guys just do a phenomenal job in the pits.
Yeah, it's a magic of that Brunnhoelzl jack.
That's it.
That's doing it, man.
Brunnhoelzl pit equipment.
Yeah, you go. You got the golden piece of equipment there in the pits, but obviously it's a lot of guys that are working hard on that car, and that's so good because that's such an added dimension for the race fans that come out. Langley's a great track as well as all the other facilities that you guys go to, and to watch a touring series instead of the halftime break. Which every track or every series has their own nuances, but to see that pit stop, that's pretty cool. Hey, we talked about the points battle, and I know you've kind of said, let the points fall where they may a little bit this year, but you can't deny the fact that after having such an up-and-down year, and he got off to a bad start, that, I mean, you're right in the thick of the battle with just 3 races left to go.
Yeah, I mean, we're right there with, the Dunleavy's Truck and Trailer Repair, Composite Technologies, number 28 is back in the hunt for sure, but this year is different for us in cases where we've been very fortunate in years past, not last year, but going back a few years to win championships, and we've always been sitting on the other side of the fence. So now it's the case where we're going for broke. I mean, we're going to win races, and that's in all honesty the only way we're going to come out of here with a chance of winning the championship is just to go and win the races. So with just 3 races left, I mean, you always want to finish good, but in order for us to capitalize and try and come back from the hole we were in at the start of the season, we're going to have to simply win the race. So we're just we're going out for broke and going for the trophies.
Do you spend much time looking at the points? I know we talked to Doug Kobe, and he studies stats. He always tells us he's a stats guy and likes to know who's doing what and all the different scenarios that are out there going into certain race weekends that could potentially happen. Do you get too deep into that?
I don't. I definitely try not to. I mean, at some extent, you always find yourself curious, but I try my hardest not to, because all it does is put more pressure, puts more stuff in your mind, and if there's different scenarios, yes, it could help you, but in the situation we're in right now, it's just a case where we got to get the most points with this new point structure. Call it new, but we've had it for a few years now. But with this new point system, the only way to actually gain points on anybody is to win. That's the only way you can get the bonus points. You got to lead the most laps, lead a lap, obviously, and win in order to get the max points. And that's the position we're in now. So I try not to look at it too much, but just be mindful of where I am and what I need to do.
A few weeks ago, had the opportunity, I guess, the luxury of being off on a Friday. I can't remember why. I wasn't playing hooky, I promise you, Kyle. But I had the opportunity to, or maybe it was a Saturday afternoon, I can't remember. Got to see the replay of the Bowman Gray race, and just that one, not talking about that one specifically, but the opportunity to sit back in the middle of an afternoon, and a lot of times on a Friday we're watching Xfinity Series practice, Cup qualifying, and nestled right in the middle of that in an hour is a replay of either a K&N race or a NASCAR Wheel and Tour race, and it was so cool to watch the Bowman Gray deal. I know it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to 100% on that night, but how cool has it been for you guys not only to race out there each and every touring race, but then to have the opportunity to view it back on NBCSN?
It is. It's great to be able to race there with the history and everything, but like you said, I mean, NASCAR and NBCSN, they've done a great job. I mean, you can't even begin to explain how important it is for us racers at this level to get some TV time. One, just as, to get some publicity as drivers and up-and-coming series, but it helps you tremendously when you're trying to get sponsorship, and you guys do a great job as well with promoting us, and that just in turn helps us try and get sponsors, which in turn makes better races and more cars.
14 cars took the green flag the other night, and just about all of you guys finished on the lead lap. 11 cars finished within 2.5 seconds of each other. Pretty amazing statistic there. 3 races to go. As Buddy mentioned, you go to South Boston Speedway here in a couple of weeks. Thoughts about getting back to that track in Virginia, and how I guess you rate yourself against the competition going back to South Boston?
Yeah, South Boston is actually one of my favorite tracks, and it's a fun track to drive on. I love the atmosphere, the people, Kathy Rice. I mean, they're unbelievable as far as hospitality when we're there. The racetrack puts on a really good race for the fans. I mean, there's definitely 2 groups of racing there, and half the time we end up racing down on the flat, so 2.5 grooves, and it's a very racy track, and I like it, and we typically fare pretty well there. Got caught up in a wreck earlier this year, but definitely had a top 2 or 3 car there. So looking to kind of pick up right there and maybe even make it a little bit better and try and go for another trophy.
And that'll be a hot ticket that weekend, September the 19th, as I believe that also wraps up the Wheelin' All-American season at South Boston Speedway. Good points battle between Matt Bowling and Lee Pulliam in the battle for their championship. They'll have twin 75s. You guys continue your very tight points battle at South Boston. Beyond that, Hickory Motor Speedway, one of the newest additions to the Wheelin' Southern Modified Tour schedule in 2015. A very abrasive racetrack, a lot of tradition, a lot of history. I know you got to be looking forward to going back there as well.
Yeah, definitely. Hickory's definitely a cool track. It's a different track, being like you said, it's very abrasive, and tire management is very important there. And with the live stops, that will add a definite plan to everybody, where you'll have pit stop strategies coming into effect.
I'll look forward to getting to the Hickory Motor Speedway here in a couple of weeks. That's October 3rd. And then, of course, the championship race on October 8th, which I'll get to see live. Very excited about that, as I always am. And it's going to be a great race down to the wire if the points are any indication as they currently stand. George, congratulations again on the win. Your second of the season this past week at the Langley Speedway. And look forward to talking to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
George Brunnhoelzl III joining us, the big winner of the the Bayport Credit Union 150 by Budweiser this past weekend at the Langley Speedway. When we come back, we're going to talk to the winner of the Bobby Isaac Memorial at the Hickory Motor Speedway this past Saturday night. Jake Crum joins us in a moment.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle Rickey and Buddy Long right after this.
Football starts this Sunday, but at DraftKings.com, it's already time for the big game. $10 million in prizes are up for grabs in the biggest one-week fantasy football contest ever. That means every play in every game could take you closer to a life-changing payday. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Use promo code COAST at DraftKings.com to play free for your shot at the $2 million top prize in this Sunday's Millionaire Maker event. That's COAST for free entry now at DraftKings.com.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Hey everyone, this is NASCAR modified driver Keith Rocco, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
Rocco, the big winner at the Waterford Speed Bowl this past Saturday night. Full field of cars there. 21 took the green flag, so that means maximum points in a run for that national championship, something he'll need more of the next 2 weekends.
And we haven't mentioned that points battle a whole lot, but that's very tight. James Monahan still has the lead. I think Rocco's closing in on him real fast.
He is. I believe just 1 or 2 points behind right now. It's a tight point battle.
He could be, because every time I look at it, I don't know if it's totally updated or not. And when I looked at it, it said 8, but that might have not been totally updated. You could be right.
3 points.
3 points.
Between Diego Monahan and Keith Rocco.
And Diego and James are the same people, just so everybody knows. We're
They
not
are.
throwing in another one,
They are.
another Monahan.
All right, one of the races that we like to talk about every year, and we try to get the winner on the last couple of years here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, the winner of the Bobby Isaac Memorial, one of the biggest races, if not the biggest race of the season, out at the Hickory Motor Speedway here in North Carolina. Legendary short track that most people are aware of. I miss running the NASCAR Xfinity Series there. They always put on a good show, but the late models do as well. Especially a full field of them. 20 took the green flag the other night for this prestigious event, and taking the checkered flag when all was said and done was Jake Crum, who joins us now on the guest line. Jake, thanks for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Congratulations on the win. How special is winning the Bobby Isaac Memorial to you?
Oh, thank you guys for having me on the show. It means a lot, especially not winning in 5 years now. It was a really big win for us. I think moving forward, I think we're going to win some more races, but that's just one of many for right now. But it means a lot. Just everybody works so hard to make it happen, and to go out there and beat Josh Berry, he's class of the field, and to go out there and beat him, that's saying something.
Absolutely, and even though things have changed a little bit, I know Josh has been traveling some this year. William Byron, obviously. on the K&N Pro Series East, so we don't have those drivers in there on a regular basis. But, yeah, when you get in there and they're there, you got to watch out for them each and every time. A lot of history, a lot of tradition. I was there about a month or so ago. It was Matt DiBenedetto night. It was one of the few weekends that Sprint Cup had the weekend off. So, Matt, obviously, that was part of his racing roots. You're looking around the racetrack and you see the names on the wall. I know you've had a very good career, young career from karting all the way up to where you are now. Is what happened this past weekend a good launching point for the deal that you've got right now, even though we're towards the tail end of the season? Is this something to build off of?
Definitely, I think so. It's just hard, man. Sponsorship's hard out there right now, so anything you get helps. And My Freedom Smokes, came back on board with us and helped me out. He's given me about, 9 or 10 races here at the end of the year, so we're just going to make the most of it and see what next year holds. But, we're just concentrating on the end of the season here and just trying to, get as many wins as possible, the best finishes as possible, and just see what next year holds for us.
Momentum certainly on your side right now after this win, and it's good to hear that you're going to be around on a regular basis. 8, 9 races left this season. What has your season looked like so far in the first 6 or 7 months of the season? Haven't seen your name pop up a whole lot here over the course of the summer months.
Yeah, just haven't really done anything, man. We lost our sponsor a little while back. Haven't done anything really. Just running a tree company. Just digging hard as I could dig. To just try to find sponsorship. And I just went back to the guy that stopped helping me a little while back and just asked him, just give me one more shot. And he believed in me and give me another shot and, told me to make the best of it. So that's what we're trying to do, just trying to make the best of what we've got for the opportunity right now. And, like I said, hopefully we can just, build off of this weekend and just keep getting good runs, good solid finishes. And, you never know what next year holds. You never know who's watching. You never know what position you're in until you do something wrong. So, just going to try to make the best of it and just go out and run every race like it's my last.
Trying to be at the right place at the right time, and that's always key in this business, or any business for that matter. But we've had the luxury of seeing you on the higher levels of NASCAR, occasionally here running some Camping World Truck Series races, Xfinity. You've had some stints in ARCA, also the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East. I mean, you kind of dipped your toe in a few different pools as far as racing is concerned, but you were such a typical example of a driver that's got tremendous talent. And I know that very well from the days when you were very young running in the karting industry, but how hard it is to beat the bushes, no pun intended, since you're in the tree business. But to do that and on a consistent basis, get yourself on a regular deal, whether it be late models, whether it be K&N, whether it be a truck series deal.
It's just I've ran the trucks and nationwide, like you said. As far as driving the cars, it's just you really know if you've got it or if you don't got it. So when you go out there and you jump in a nationwide car, you jump in a truck or a K&N car or a late model stock, or you jump back in a go-kart, right off if you've got it or not. So me fighting as hard as I have, just to try to pursue my dreams, you get to a point where you see a lot of your friends just, move on, go to higher rankings, and you wonder what you're doing wrong. And, you ask yourself, is this what I was really meant to do? I mean, do I need to quit? Do I need to keep digging? And at the end of the day, like I said, you know if you have it or not, and I feel like I've got it. So, I'm never going to give up. And, hopefully everybody behind me don't give up on me. And I just go out, win races, make the best of it. And if it's meant to be, it will. And if it's not, it's not. But right now we're just looking for W's.
Looking for the wins, no doubt. Again, winning the Bobby Isaac Memorial this past weekend. 16 NASCAR Camping World Truck Series starts, none this year. Do you see yourself, maybe not in the immediate future, obviously focusing on your late model program, but hopefully seeing yourself give that another shot, get up into the national spotlight again?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I just want to, like I said, I just want to run good, try to build my name again, because when you go and you're competing against high-dollar teams like in the truck nationwide stuff, you really knock your name way down on the list when you're not in great equipment and you can't really run with them. So what I want to do is I want to go a different approach, maybe run, if it takes me a year to run a super late model to get my name back on the market, try to get sponsorship in. And then when I go back, hopefully I have the sponsorship to go to a good team to where I can really showcase what I have. But, until then, I'm just going to, lay low and try to go and run, where there's a good field, good competitors, and just try to get the best finishes as possible and try to build my name back up.
And patience is very thin on the big levels of sports, whether it's motorsports, football, whatever it is. I mean, it's got to be an immediate performance, so you've got to make the most of your opportunities, and sometimes that's just not it, depending on the equipment that you get. Sometimes, as you mentioned, it can be inferior equipment going up against the driving skill that you have, and you have such a short period of time to make that happen, and sometimes it just doesn't, and as a result, it's that greasy ladder of motorsports where some very talented drivers have slipped back down, not due to their own fault, but just due to the circumstances that there are. That being said, you mentioned earlier the 9 races or so that you're going to be running at the tail end of this year. Where do you find yourself? I know Hickory's just got a handful of races left to go, but where else are you looking to pop up this year?
I really have to actually look at the schedule, but I'm a few off the top of my head. I think we're going to run the PASS national race at where we at Greenville Pickens. We're going to run there. We're going to run the super late model and late model stock at Hickory in the cars race on November 1st. We're going to run Martinsville in the late model stock at the 300. We're going to run the let's see here. Myrtle Beach, we're going to run there. There's a couple races here I just, forgot, but we're going to run 8 or 9 more races this year and just try to make the best of them.
All the big ones. You mentioned
Yeah.
Martinsville, Myrtle Beach, Greenville Pickens. Hey, what do you think about the new rule at Martinsville? No more caution with 10 laps to go.
I like it. I mean, I feel like the best car, the best driver should win. I don't feel like, just because the caution comes out, somebody can go in there and wreck someone and luck up and get a win. So, but I feel like that's a plus.
Jake likes it because he's going to be leading that race, and he doesn't want a caution coming out with 10 laps to go. He wants to hold that trophy up.
That's right.
You going to be able to go?
All right. What date is it? You got to tell
flying
me.
back from Vegas.
Oh, really?
So I think we should just land and make the drive up to Martinsville Speedway.
Flying back from Vegas. Vegas, we're going to be coming back on the side. We're not going to be able to make that.
Oh, we'll be fine.
All right. Jake, hold his 2 seats for us, okay? It's at Martinsville. We're going to be there for you.
All right, buddy.
All right, Jake, thanks for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast this afternoon. Congratulations on the win, and good to hear that you're going to be at a lot of these big fall events coming up at short tracks across the Southeast.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on here, man. Just hopefully I'll be talking to you again soon, in Victor Lane again. So look forward to talking to you again.
All right, look forward to it. Jake Crum, the winner of the Bobby Isaac Memorial this past weekend at the Hickory Motor Speedway. Hopefully the first of many big wins for that young driver who has tried so hard to make it into the National Series. We've seen him in the Xfinity garage. We've seen him in the truck garage. Unfortunately, funding did not fall his way, but it sounds like it's coming back together for him.
It is, and I mean, again, I've known this young gentleman. I mean, he's 24 years old, but I mean, his family traveled, immensely when they ran karting. They ran the WK Dirt and Speedway National Series programs, the pavement and the dirt, that's at least 10 races, right? The 10 nationals all over the country. Then they ran what were divisional programs, like regional events in the state of North Carolina and South Carolina on both the dirt and the pavement as well. They were never home on a weekend. I mean, they were always loading the trailer up, but the beauty about this is they have busted their tail as a family. Jake's got the talent. There's no doubt about it. He's got the talent. He's now one of the many drivers that hasn't made it. I mean, he just needs the right opportunity and somebody say, hey, look, I've got the money. I'm going to take you. Okay, or I've got the patience. I know you got the talent. We got a little bit of funding here for a few races. We're going to put you in that car. And unfortunately, that's kind of a fantasy land approach. Right. You just can't do it. And, I mean, having this victory could be huge in vaulting him back into the spotlight where he needs to be. And I think, he's run Myrtle Beach before. I know he's been down there and done very well. Martinsville's going to be a tough nut to crack. We all know that. But I think this guy's going to finally make – I hope he does. He's just such another young talent. 24, he's old already.
Yeah, exactly.
When you think about it, but
exactly.
no, Jake's got a good career ahead of him.
You mean he doesn't have $12 million a year to run a truck series?
I tell you, his dad Billy, I mean, he worked his tail off a lot of times, and his mom was the mechanic on a lot of the carts. I mean, Samantha got right in there, and she was working just as hard as anybody else. And I've still seen Samantha at some of the truck races that Jake ran. Just good to see the family advance themselves up the ladder. And you and I are both cut from the same cloth. We love doing the show, but our face lights up when we get to see these kids running these short tracks. The next thing you know, they got a truck deal, a K&N deal, an Xfinity deal, and it's just so cool to watch it.
And one of those kids, Noah Gragson, who won the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West race this past weekend. We'll hear from him when we come back on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
NASCAR Coast to Coast will be right back on MRN.com.
The winner of the FVP Knoxville Nationals, Donnie Schatz.
This is Winged Nation with Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs.
Tony Stewart had the chance to spend a little time in Victory Lane. That had to be really neat.
Absolutely. I think I was more happy to get him in Victory Lane with him being there and seeing the race. I don't know that he's seen us win the Nationals ever with the things that this whole team has endured in the last 2 years. I was glad to see a smile on his face and him be excited as he was.
Winged Nation every Tuesday at noon, exclusively on MRN.com. Join the Motor Racing Network this Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. Your host, Eli Gold, along with weekly guests, tackle the latest storylines with our NASCAR Live Fast Forum.
Oh, I totally disagree with Rickey on that. I think the test...
We've got your favorite drivers one-on-one.
I think everybody was more stressed out going into Phoenix just because you knew that...
It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
This is NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour driver Ryan Preece, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to you, Kyle and Buddy.
All right, thank you very much, Ryan. Welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast here on the Motor Racing Network. The NASCAR K&N West in action, as we mentioned earlier. Over the weekend, Noah Gragson picking up the win, and now is the championship point leader. And since the series is off for the next month, guess where he's coming?
Richmond.
Yeah, and I say that now because he is actually in the air as we speak, on his way to the Richmond International Raceway. Had a 6 a.m. flight this morning out of somewhere over there on the West Coast. and while you were at your other job,
yes,
I had an opportunity to catch up with Noah, who called in really early, 6 a.m. his time, as he flies to Richmond this weekend to run the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East race. So let's take a look at that interview right now with the race winner from this past weekend. Able to catch up with NASCAR K&N Pro Series West winner right now from the Meridian Speedway this past weekend. Noah Gragson won the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208 and is the current championship leader with 2 races to go. Noah, welcome back to NASCAR Coast to Coast.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. It's cool to catch back up with you and talk a little bit more racing.
Second win of the 2015 season in your rookie season. First off, work us through the race on Saturday night. It seemed like it was a wild one, 11 caution flags. Were you close to any of the incidents, or were you, for the most part, toward the front of the field most of the evening?
Yeah, we started off the weekend really well. It was the first time that we went to Meridian Speedway, so it's a tight little quarter mile, kind of the Bowman Gray of the West Coast. So we qualified first and started on the pole. We started on the inside, but I was a little tight through the center, and I could bounce off James Stickford every lap. So we got a lot of cautions. We were plagued with cautions. I think we got a caution on the first lap. So I chose the top side the rest of the time. And David Mayhew got past me, I think, lap 20, and there's a lap car that spun in front of him, and he T-boned him. I was in second. He was on first. I went low and went through the grass, and it's just all craziness and just a wreck fest, basically. Just everyone just trying to go for the lead, and just so much fun racing against all those fast guys, Ryan Partridge, Chris Eggleston, Brandon McReynolds, Grayson Rass, I could go on and on for days, but just such a competitive field, and to be able to win against that competition really means a huge deal to me and to everyone else at Jefferson Pitts Racing.
A very talented NASCAR K&N Pro Series West field, no doubt. Something that we've been talking about all season long. 2 wins this year, both on, I guess you could call it, bull ring type racetracks. You won at Tucson earlier this year. You picked up the win here at Meridian. Your experience at Las Vegas, the bull ring, you ran a lot of late model races there and won a lot there. How much has that helped you make this transition over into the K&N West Series this season in your rookie year? With a schedule that runs a lot of those short track bull ring type facilities.
Yeah, I started racing when I was 13 at the bull ring in Bandoleros, and then moved up to legend cars and all that stuff. And it's funny because I really don't have that many late model starts under my belt. I probably have 6 or 7 late model starts before coming into the season this year. So I'm kind of new and to these big, heavy stock cars, so I don't really pick up that many bad habits from the super late models that transfer over, So I think the small little tracks are beating and banging the whole time, and we might have a little bit of an advantage on these small tracks, and definitely the cars from Jefferson Pitts Racing, all the guys work so hard in the shop to get these cars to the racetrack, and it definitely helps unloading to be where you want to be, so you're not making adjustments and having to change the car a whole lot, We unloaded really good at Meridian, and I think that was the key to success.
What has been the biggest challenge for you this season? You are the point leader by 2. We'll talk more about that in a moment, but your worst finish this year, 16th, back at the Shasta Speedway a couple of races ago. Other than that, every race for you has been among the top 10.
Yeah, we kind of had a bad deal in the Shasta race. We got a flat tire with 8 to go, so we ended up not finishing that. But other than that, it's been a pretty successful season. We'd like a couple more top 5s, but we're going to take what we have right now. But I think the hardest thing for me is qualifying, because I'm not the greatest qualifier. I don't know why, but 2 laps for me is really hard to lay down a number. It takes me a couple laps to get in a rhythm. So I think qualifying is the toughest deal for me. And but we're working on our qualifying efforts. We just qualified on pole this last weekend by almost a tenth. So that was a pretty good deal, and hopefully we can carry on the momentum to Richmond this weekend. I'm going to be running the K&N East race, the 55 Alert ID Jefferson Pitts Racing car back there. So hopefully our qualifying efforts will improve for this weekend.
We talked a little bit earlier before we came on air. You are at the airport right now, heading to Richmond International Raceway for the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East event on Thursday night to kick off the busy race weekend there at RIR. Why are you running that event? And are you going to run the season finale in a couple of weeks at Dover before the NASCAR K&N West Series schedule resumes at All-American?
Yeah, I think the reason why we're running these races in between is because we have a month in between the next 2 races. We have a month until All-American, and then after All-American, it's a month until Phoenix. So just to be in the seat, get seat time, get a couple late model starts in between. I'm going to be making my ARCA start at Kentucky for Mason Mitchell Motorsports in 2 weeks, so that should be a cool deal. A 1.5 mile track. I've never been on a track that big. The biggest track I've been on is Iowa, which is a 7/8 mile. So it's going to be a different deal going on there, but hopefully we can see what we're all about and try and go out and win. These one-off races back east, Richmond, we just have one mindset, and that's to win. We're not doing points back there, so it's basically checkers or wreckers for us.
You mentioned you're going to run Richmond this week. Have you looked to 2016 yet, and is there a possibility we may see you on the NASCAR K&N Pro Series East side? We've seen a lot of West regulars the last 2 or 3 years come over to the East after doing so well in the West. Is that a plan potentially for you down the road?
Yeah, I think we're shooting for running another season of the West, and I think you'll see us back east more often on the bigger NASCAR tracks. So all the big NASCAR tracks, I think you'll see us at 5 or 6 races back there. So that should be a pretty cool deal. I'm just very fortunate to get this opportunity. You know, it's pretty cool to say that I get to race against some of the best short track drivers in the nation right now. So I'm just very thankful for this opportunity.
So you're coming east for a couple of races. I assume you're okay with what we expect to see at the Phoenix International Raceway in a couple of months in November for the season finale. I think I heard last week there are 8 or 9 East Series regulars that are going to be participating in that race. I assume you're okay with that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a couple East guys back there. There always is every year. So I guess the more cars, the better. To be the best, you got to beat the best, you know.
You're the championship point leader in that race. I'm sure it'll come down to the final lap to see who the series champion is this season. You have a 2-point advantage now over Chris Eggleston, 8 points over Ryan Partridge, and 16 over Grayson Raz. It's the closest point battle right now in NASCAR's regional series. You often say, and I've seen a lot of your interviews this year, you try not to look at the points. But with 2 races left, do you focus on them a little bit more? Maybe not totally, but do you kind of figure out who you're racing against for this championship and where they might be on the racetrack?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to look at the points and see who you're battling. You know, we always have in the back of our mind that we're really battling the 27, the 9, and the 99 this year. So that's our biggest focus is to finish in front of those guys and ultimately get as much lead time as we can. You know, this year was all about learning, and I would have been content with top 10 finish at the end of the season in the point standings. But to be leading it, it's just a dream come true. You know, it's definitely not possible without the guys from Jefferson Pits Racing. You know, they give me amazing cars week in and week out, and I think that's the key to success in this series is you have to almost be a family with your team. You know, you're all working together, and when you all work together, and then success is possible.
2 races to go. You mentioned All-American Speedway in Roseville, California here in about a month, and then another month off before the season finale in Phoenix. What do you know about these final 2 racetracks on the circuit? Another short track, and then the super speedway of the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West, the 1-mile racetrack in Phoenix.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about these racetracks, to be honest. I played on Phoenix on NASCAR video game before, but other than that, I know one's really, really small, and I know the other one's really, really big for us. So this series has been all about adapting this year for us. You know, I've been to maybe 3 of the racetracks this year, so we just had to adapt and we unload every weekend, and that's a big point too. Is you have to be able to adapt to these new racetracks and find the correct way around these places and the fastest way around these places, because you have 15 other cars that can show up a weekend and win in the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West. So it's been very difficult for us to unload and really learn the track for me. So just being able to learn quick and adapt is a big deal for us.
You laugh when you say you've played the NASCAR video game around Phoenix, but a lot of the guys use these racing-type simulators. I wouldn't call them video games when you get to, like, the iRacing level. Is that something that you have ever done?
Yeah, I have an iRacing simulator, but I'm going to be completely honest, I absolutely suck at iRacing. I don't know why, but something just doesn't relate from being in the car and them being on the simulator. You know, just it doesn't click for me, and I almost feel bad for myself sometimes, because after being decent in real life and then going on there and being a second off against these really good guys, it's a little hard, but I just have to sit back and look at it and just laugh, because I'm just very fortunate for the opportunity and just happy to be doing it.
You and I both, when it comes to iRacing, the most frustrating I've ever been is trying to race on the computer, and I am obviously no good at it. And fortunately for yourself, you're good at it in real life, leading the NASCAR K&N Pro Series West Championship standings right now after winning this past weekend at the Meridian Speedway, the Napa Auto Parts Idaho 208. Noah Gragson, thank you for joining us here on NASCAR Coast to Coast, and we'll see you in person in a couple of months at the Phoenix International Raceway and running for the championship. And best of luck to you over the course of the next couple of weeks, including this weekend at Richmond International Raceway.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's cool chatting with you. Hopefully we could chat a little bit more racing here in the future.
Absolutely. Look forward to it. Noah Gragson joining us here, going to run the K&N East race this coming Thursday night at the Richmond International Raceway before returning his focus to the K&N West at the All-American Speedway next month, and then in November, the season finale at the Phoenix International Raceway in Arizona.
Coming back with more of NASCAR Coast to Coast, it's Kyle, Rickey, and Buddy Long right after this.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their four-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Hi, this is Eli Gold, the host of NASCAR Live. We've been taking your calls every Tuesday night for over 30 years, but now you don't have to wait for Tuesday. Call Motor Racing Network's fan hotline at 844-4-ASK-MRN.
I think Kyle Busch should be able to step right in and run for the championship if he gets a win. Just like any other sports figure, they're out for part of the season because of an injury. They come in, they win the championship, they win the trophy.
Be a part of the voice of NASCAR. Call 844-4-ASK-MRN.
This is NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour driver Bobby Santos, and you're listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast on MRN.com. Now back to Kyle and Buddy.
A lot of good championship battles here. We're back on, Buddy Long. Yeah.
Are we?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for telling me.
No problem. As we talk about all the good championship battles taking place around the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series and last couple of weeks of the season for a lot of these racetracks. We mentioned earlier, Chemung Speedrome up in New York. Jimmy Zacharias won his 10th Sunoco Modified feature of the season. Also won the track championship, and we mentioned earlier also that he is looking at more modified races to stay alive for the national title.
Absolutely. South Boston Speedway, we mentioned Lee Pulliam and Matt Bowling were winners over the weekend. Bowling's got the lead. I guess it's still attainable for Lee, maybe. Mm-hmm. There's twin 75s left in a couple of weekends, so that's tight. Cress Van Dyke wins a Lonesome Pine, chasing Wayne Hale for the title.
Brian Bergacker claimed the Outlaw Super Late Model win. Mark Shook was running for the championship, involved in an early race crash, finished 22nd. Mike Bubba Brooks had engine issues during the event, finished 11th, but that was good enough to win the championship by 1 point over third-place finisher Jeff Boswell.
And while that's tight, Columbus Motor Speedway will wrap their championship up this weekend. Cody Robinson won over the weekend. Kyle Jones was second. Chad Pendleton fourth. Pendleton and Jones are tied for the lead. Cody is just 3 points back, so that will be a big one coming up this weekend.
11 and I-44 Speedway in Missouri. J.C. Newell picked up the late model win over the weekend over Brian Brown. Newell has an 89-point lead over Caleb Allison. They have 2 nights remaining, including this Saturday.
Grandview Speedway, Jaron Omenauer takes the 358 mod win, but it's going to be Craig Von Dorn wrapping up the championship. And this weekend, the 45th annual Freedom 76, $25,000 to win.
And that's a big one. It is every year a huge entry list. Anderson Speedway in South Carolina, late models were off last weekend. They return to action this weekend for the Rupert Porter Memorial. Trey Gibson, a 35-point lead there over R.A. Brown.
A lot of tight point battles again to be decided this upcoming weekend. Can't wait for it.
We'll talk about it next week here on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Thank you for joining us. Want to thank Noah Gragson, George Brunnhoelzl III, and Jake Crum for joining us as well. So for Robbie Mays and Craig Moore, Buddy Long, I'm Kyle Rickey. We'll see you back here next Tuesday on NASCAR Coast to Coast.
You've been listening to NASCAR Coast to Coast. Tune in next Wednesday at 1 Eastern for more talk from local tracks all over America. NASCAR Coast to Coast is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. NASCAR Coast to Coast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.